Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. We are the reporter number 16 and today we're gonna be discussing to you Dr. Jose Rizal's Life and Work Chapter 16 in Gay Paris 1889 to 1890. So, are you wondering bakit itong chapter na to is entitled as Gay Paris wherein wala namang lugar sa Paris na gay ang name. It is because when Rizal arrived to Paris, it was then the beginning of international exposition. So, yung meaning ng gay pa dati noon is free and happy. So, yung pagdating ni Rizal doon sa Paris is the beginning of international exposition, and yung international exposition is invited yung all people all over the world, and it was a joyous event for Paris because they are going to exhibit structures, newly attracted structures in Paris. Since nung pag-arrive ni Dr. Jose Rizal sa Paris noong 1889 is the beginning of the international exposition, nahirapan siya na maghanap ng matutuluyan niya because all hotel accommodations, inns, lahat ng bahay na rooms na pwedeng marentahan or matuluyan is all taken na. Kasi, yun nga, maraming tao yung pumunta galing sa iba't ibang bansa. And, nahirapan si Rizal na maghanap ng kanyang matutuluyan, and also tinake advantage ng mga may-ari ng mga paupahan yung event na yon na para taasan yung renta ng matutuluyan ng mga tourist, and nadismaya si Rizal sa kaganapan na yon. To give you an idea kung ano nga ba yung nangyari sa International Exposition is, yung International Exposition is the event in Paris wherein ina-exhibit nila yung structures sa Paris. Over 80 structures yung in-exhibit nila noon. And yung 4 famous structures na in-exhibit nila is yung Pavilion of Cham, the interior of Gallery of Machines, Le Palais des Machines, and the famous Eiffel Tower. For a short time, nung nahirapang maghanap si Dr. Jose Rizal ng matutuluyan niya sa Paris, is nagstay muna siya sa bahay ng kaibigan niya sa number 45 Rue Maubert, sa bahay ng kaibigan niya, which is si Valentin Ventura. Doon muna siya nagstay wherein ginugol niya yung oras niya sa pag-polish ng annotated edition niya ng Morga's book and sa iba pang mga work na ginagawa niya. So, sino nga ba si Valentin Ventura? Si Valentin Ventura was born on the year 1860 in Bacolor, Pampanga. And he died in 1935 in Barcelona, Catalonia, Spain. He is a reformist, and Valentin Ventura was known as the person who financed the publication of Dr. Jose Rizal's novel El Filibusterismo. So, upon staying at his friend's house, hindi pa rin tumigil si Rizal na humanap ng bahay na permanente niyang matutuluyan. Hanggang sa palipat-lipat na siya, and to the point na nakahanap na siya ng permanent na matutuluyan niya. And isa itong maliit na room or maliit na kwarto wherein may kasama siyang 3 lalaki. And yung dalawa doon is Filipino, which is, yung Filipinos is si Kapitan Justo Trinidad, siya ay former Gobernadorcillo of Santa Ana, Manila. And yung isa naman is si Jose Albert, a young student in Manila. And yung isa naman is a refugee from Spanish tyranny. So, despite ng busy life sa Paris because of the international exposition, Rizal didn't get distracted in that event. Instead, he spent his time fruitfully and frugally. So, frugally means is he didn't waste his time with nonsense things. He used his time to polish his annotated edition of Morga. And also, he spent most of his time in the Bibliothèque Nationale so yung Bibliothèque Nationale is a national library in France. And doon niya ni-spend yung mga oras niya to polish his annotated edition of Morga. Kapag may free time si Rizal is he used to dine in with the house of his friends, which is sila Pardo de Taveras, the Venturas, the Ramirez, and the Rochas. So yung Pardo de Taveras is si Trinidad H. Pardo de Tavera. He is a physician and philologist. Si Dr. Felix Pardo de Tavera, he is a physician, artist, and sculptor. And Paz Pardo de Tavera is, si Paz is wife of Juan Luna. And we all know naman is that Juan Luna is a classical painter here, is a Filipino classical painter and a general. Don Joaquin Pardo de Tavera is the father of the three Pardo de Taveras, which is Rizal's friend. And according to Don Joaquin Pardo de Tavera is si Rizal daw ay mahilig siya, masyado daw siyang mahilig sa mga Filipino dishes. Si Rizal is also a visitor of the Bosted family. And si Mr. Edward Bosted is was born in the Philippines and anak siya ng French businessman in Singapore. And his wife was a Filipina named Dolores de Ocampo. So I can't find any picture of her wife. And her wife came from a prominent Ganato family. So prominent means famous or important family. So that's why si Mr. Edward Bosted is welcome masyado sa kanya yung mga Filipino visitors because of his wife and yung happy stay niya sa Manila. That's why wini-welcome niya masyado yung mga Filipino visitor niya. So Mr. Edward Bosted has two beautiful daughters named Nellie Bosted and Adelina Bosted. And one of the reason then kung bakit gustong-gusto ni Mr. Edward Bosted si Jose Rizal is because namamangha siya sa talino and sa maraming skills maraming talent ni Dr. Jose Rizal. So aside sa pagpo-polish ni Dr. Jose Rizal ng annotated edition niya ng Morgas book is ini-continue niya pa rin yung pag-aaral niya ng languages sa Paris and he perfected his French so he could speak and write like a Frenchman. So nakagawa rin siya ng textbook and yung textbook na yon is para sa mga bata and para sa mga taong gustong matuto ng mga basic na French words. Ayun nga, tinuloy pa rin ni Rizal yung study niya about languages and to the point na nakagawa na siya ng textbook for students and for the beginners to learn about the French words. And also he attended Oriental languages at the University of Paris together with Dr. Trinidad H. Pardo de Tavera. Upon polishing his annotated edition of Morgas book, making a booklet about French, basic French word, he also carry on with his artistic way and nakagawa siya ng statue, which is yung statue as in the picture, and yun yung the beggar and the maid with the basket. So I can't find any picture of her sculpture, the maid in the basket. And his work is nisend niya ito kay Blumentritt together with a classic wallet, Filipino wallet, which is called Petaka. Towards the end of March, naisipan ni Dr. Jose Rizal na gumawa ng club, which is the Kidlat Club, and together with his paisanos. So, meaning ng paisanos is friend or pal. Together with her friends na bumuo sila ng club, wherein yung purpose ng club na yon is he organized the club with his friends and yung club na yon is mag-exist lang siya within the international exposition. And nag-send siya ng letter kay Blumentritt about organizing the club called Kidlat Club, and sinabi niya kay Blumentritt yung meaning ng kidlat. Sa yung kidlat daw is lightning, and parang mawawala daw yung mawawala daw yung club na yon kapag matapos yung international exposition. So kagaya sa kidlat is madali daw mawala. Also, ginawa niya yon para magsama-sama yung mga Filipino during the international exposition and ma-enjoy nila yung event ng sama-sama. The members of the Kidlat Club was Antonio Luna, Juan Luna, Laura Di Mayuga, Baldomero Rojas, Gregorio Aguilera, Fernando Canon, Gregorio Pauto, Julio Loriente, and lastly is Dr. Jose Rizal. When the international exposition was taking place, tinake advantage ito ni Dr. Jose Rizal to establish a association which is the International Association of Philippinologists. And yung aim ng association na ito is to study the Philippines in scientific and historical perspective. So this idea of Rizal was it was first known by Blumentritt, and sinuportahan naman siya ni Blumentritt sa idea ni Rizal na ito. Nag-send si Rizal ng letter about sa plan niya na bumuo ng association kay Blumentritt noong January 14, 1889. And gusto ni Rizal na ma-hold yung ceremony ng first inaugural ceremony ng International Association of Philippinology sa Paris. Pero it was hindi to natuloy kasi hindi pumayag yung mga French authority or government na mag-held ng mga meetings or ceremonies yung mga private organizations, kaya hindi natuloy yung ceremony and yung propose ni Rizal about sa International Association of Philippinology. Nag-invite si Rizal ng mga renowned scholars in Europe such as si Dr. Rost, Dr. Yule, Dr. Chagor, Dr. A.B. Mayer, Dr. Kern, and Dr. Zeppelak. So, yun nga, hindi natuloy yung ceremony kasi hindi pinayagan ng French government na mag-partake ng ceremony yung mga private organizations. It was not materialized kasi nga hindi pumayag yung French government na mag-take ng ceremony yung mga private organizations while the international exposition is taking place. The officers of the International Association of Philippinologists is as follows. So the president is Dr. Ferdinand Blumentritt. He was an Austrian teacher, secondary school principal in Les Metrides, and author of articles and books in the Philippines and its ethnography. And he is well known in the Philippines for his close friendship with the writer and propagandist Jose Rizal. And the vice president was Mr. Edmund Plachou. He was a French journalist, writer, traveler, and following a brief journalistic career in Anaglomi. Plachou left France in 1850 to join French trade operations in Manila, Philippines. Counselor was Dr. Reinhold Ross. He was a German Orientalist who worked for most of his life at St. Augustine's Missionary College in England and as head librarian at the India Office Library in London. And Dr. Antonio Ma Regidor, he was a lawyer, diplomat, and propagandist. Despite being of Spanish parentage, the secularization movement and the nationalist propaganda. And lastly is the secretary was Dr. Jose Rizal. So another plan of Rizal that doesn't also end good like the International Association of Philippinologists is yung was his plan to establish a modern college in Hong Kong. So first na nakaalam ng plano na ito is yung friend niya na si Jose Maria Basa. And the aim of this college is to train and educate men of good family and financiable means in accordance with the demands of modern society and circumstances. So it included a progressive curriculum offering subject which would provide for physical, academic, vocational, aesthetic, and moral development. So, yun yung plan ni Rizal na hindi naman natuloy kagaya nung sa International Association of Filipinologists, yung pagpapatayo niya ng modern college sa Hong Kong. So, yung may nag-offer sa kanya na tutulong daw siya mag-raise ng funds na 40,000 and yun yung rich Filipino residents na resident sa Paris na si Mr. Cunanan. Tutulungan niya daw si Rizal na mag-raise ng funds na 40,000 pesos. So, hindi nga natuloy yung pagpapagawa or pagpa-founded ni Sir Rizal ng college, modern college in Hong Kong. Pero, nung na-exile siya sa Dapitan is naka-founded siya ng naka-establish siya ng school for boys. And ang way of teaching niya doon is pedagogy, which means is a teaching technique wherein the teachers become the mentor or coach who helps students achieve the learning goal. So yung way of teaching ni Rizal doon sa na-establish niya na school for boys when he exiled in Dapitan is nag-interact yung student and him para magkaroon ng more knowledge yung student about sa tinuturo ni Jose Rizal. So the remaining subtopics of this chapter will be reported by Agar.